multiple businesses, 3 kids, 1 dog, no housekeeper. This is the vlog. Today, as I promised on Instagram Live, we focus on marriage. We focus on counseling. Preston, how are you feeling today, Preston? Good? Wearing your tiger outfit? How are you feeling, Thomas?
Good.
So as I wake up every morning, today I didn't get to bed till like 1:30 a.m. last night, drove back from HQ in Ohio. Today I start every day. My pills, not go into those because that's not the scope of this. A whole shaker full of powders, health powders. Not crazy performance-based powders, but health powders. So as I start out every day, I'll start out today. Of course, always start my day with enough water. Guys, this is going to be like nothing you've ever seen before. You're going to see a glimpse into my life, into Katie's lives, into my kids' lives. But every day, I probably have a focus. Today, we're going to do something that a lot of couples don't do but shouldn't do. And that is we're going to go to counseling. So, with that said, let's go. Those of you who follow my Instagram story know that I have a thing for avocado toast with pastured eggs. That's like my thing. When I go out and eat, I try to get it. There's a restaurant called First Watch. So, hey, Katie.
Morning.
Excited about today?
Yeah.
It's a big normal day. I haven't been home in like a week, so it's kind of cool to be here. Kids are playing with little ruckus over there.
Yeah.
So.
Thomas, stop him from digging at the rug.
Yeah, he can't really dig through the rug. Anyway, y'all.
Thomas, stop him.
Always start off with a good breakfast. Again, I'm going to do today's an off day from the gym, so I'm going to do some regen, which is foam rolling, pillar prep, all that stuff. Y'all seen that on my channel. And then a little bit of cardio, like 20, 30 minutes of cardio, and then do what I need to do. But for now, work done, breakfast.
All right.
So we're on our way to counseling now. So it's couples counseling, so we're together. Now, what have you gotten out of that? Now, counseling, now here's my opinion on counseling. You know, I wasn't a big fan of it at first. And honestly, now that I look at it, what counseling does for me is it just gives you an intermediary who's there to kind of make sure shit doesn't get out of control or emotions don't get out of control.
Like a mediator.
Or people just don't start like talking and interrupting and talking over each other. The one thing I noticed she does is that she keeps us on a topic.
Yes.
Like as soon as you move off of that topic,
she
right?
brings you right back.
So but you might think you're done with that topic. So you're like, all right, so we went to the grocery store, we got milk, and then we bought some yogurt. So hold on, wait, go back.
Let's go
So
talk
tell
about
me more about the milk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important part. And I mean, we've been together 19 years.
Yeah.
And also, coughing's extremely rude on these.
I'm sorry, I have a sinus
I'm kidding.
infection.
No, but at the end of the day, I think that what it does is it forces you to talk. And I think as preventative
Talk
medicine.
civilly. And, you know, when you're alone and no one's watching, you're not going to be as much of an ass.
Yeah.
As when someone else is sitting there essentially like grading you on your communication. Right?
I don't know if she really grades.
No,
you.
I don't know grading. Yeah, she
line.
keeps you in line and you know, just we discovered that we weren't communicating on the same level, and that's what she helps kind of bridge that gap so that you hear what the other person is saying the way they intend it to be heard. Because you can say I'm listening all day long, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're communicating on the same level where you're understanding what the person is saying. I mean, that's inherent. Like, men and women communicate differently. It's just the way it is. It's like, you know, so I think she's just made us aware of how to communicate effectively, how to work through different issues. I mean, we've talked about all kinds of stuff, and we go about every 2 weeks.
Every
3 weeks.
I'd say 3 times a month lately.
Yeah, I mean, it's just whenever we feel like we want to go and talk and whatever. We usually follow it up with like a lunch date or something. So it's also our time. This is kind of, you know, not like we do in counseling, but I'm going to change the subject sort of. Is like we also kind of turn it into a date where, because the kids are at school, we go during the day. So we go to our counseling, we'll like work out first and then maybe grab lunch afterwards, depending on what the schedule is for the day. And we failed to do that in the past. When you have 3 kids and busy careers and stuff, it's really easy to forget about your relationship, and that's not anyone's fault. It just kind of happens, and then you get like in your routine of life, and it's not necessarily a good routine. So, you know, I think we're a lot more aware about, you know, we make a bigger effort to spend time together, even doing little stuff like grabbing coffee or whatever. So
I also think that, you know, we get all the time, like, we took pictures with couples who want to be like us, who want to have a relationship like us. But thing is, like, social media up until this life blog I'm putting up, right? Like, nobody knows anything about our personal life, right? You guys don't know if in the last 2 years we've been separated. You don't know if we've had fights, or you have no idea. What you see is what we want to put on, and that's what social media is. And that's why I hope this kind of bridges that gap in the realization of that people are real, that not everything is sugar-coated. Like, because per what you see on Instagram, it's like, wow, you know, they're doing well. You know, the careers are off the chain, the companies are growing, the kids seem to be well-adjusted and phenomenal athletes, and they get straight A's. Oh my God, this is great. But what you don't see is that there is no such thing as a perfect relationship.
Right. And I mean, like, you know, I give a lot of credit to other friends of ours that we know that kind of put their problems out there to an extent. I won't name any names, but, you know, a lot of people struggle with a bunch of different issues. And like Marc said, you don't see that on social media. You think everybody lives in this perfect freaking world where they Facetune their teeth and their wrinkles and everyone's always happy and there's no crap going on. But, you know, I think it helps people. If we can help someone by sharing, you know, our advice to go to marriage counseling, then we're doing good. And like Marc said, at the Arnold, we had countless couples come up and say, you know, that they look to us for motivation and stuff. So realize that, you know, when you have an issue, there's nothing wrong going and talking to a counselor about it, or a pastor, or a friend that you can trust. I mean, that's why you have friends and these resources in your life. Take advantage of them. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I'd be cautious with friends, though, because friends will take sides.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, if I was to tell my boy, yo, we're having problems, it's like, yo, Katie's a bitch. You know, like, if they're your friend. Sean said that, by the way. Yeah, go ahead and take it out on him. But I think the one thing you need to emphasize is that life isn't perfect.
No.
And we're not without fault.
I mean, we've been together 20 years in
19 years.
September this year. We've been together 20
You're right.
years. We've been married 15 years in April. You go through a lot of things in life, you know, tragedies and happy things, and it all molds you into the person that you are today. And the goal in the end is to come out stronger. And I think in our 20 years, we've come out stronger in all the trials and tribulations that we've dealt with, you know, everything in life. It's
let's be
part
real.
of your story.
Let's be real here, too.
My arm is cramping, sorry.
You're really the worst camera holder.
I am, but I need like an arm wrap. Okay, there we go.
Because you're talking and you're pointing it at me, so they're like, why is this random female voice coming in? Yeah.
It's sort of at me. I'm trying
It wasn't before, it was all me.
I'm trying to put my arm on this armrest here so that I'm not...
You need to work on your
I did shoulders yesterday.
So anyway, isometric holds. But, you know, I think what we need to get at here is that what you're going to see in this vlog is, another thing is, I have the worst life for a relationship with a female.
Oh, yes.
Or a male, if that's your persuasion, you know, because when I'm not working, when I'm not traveling, when I come home, my first goal is kids. I don't care about Katie. You know, I'm like, I come home and I'm like, all right, I need to spend all the time with my kids I possibly can. And so obviously our relationship suffers because we don't have date night, we don't have chill night, we don't have anything.
Dude, even by the time we like unwind and we get on to get ready for bed, it's after 10 o'clock and we're spent. A person I talked to at the Arnold's this weekend, and she probably is going to watch this, so I'm not going to say who it is, came up to me and was telling me that I should write a book about being married to an entrepreneur. And I don't think I'm ever going to write a book, but I do think I can offer some insight onto that. You know, it is a lot of work. I'm not complaining, but it is a huge commitment to support a spouse who is a workaholic.
Yeah, it's tough.
It is. Yeah. I mean, and Marc and I have talked about this before, like when you travel as much as Marc does, and I mean, I don't know any different other than to be home alone a lot of the time, and that's lonely. That sucks. I mean, that's not really the ideal situation that you want with a family and a marriage, is to be apart all the time, but it's a sacrifice you make, and you have to you kind of just have to be on the same page as a couple of your goals. And that's one of the things I brought up to Marc before that I want to do every few months, is sit down and go through goals together, like what we want to accomplish. Okay, this year we want to do one big family vacation, and this year we want to financially do this and do this for our house, and kind of discuss those things so we're on the same page. Because, you know, we're in different worlds sometimes with work, and, you know, me with the kids. I mean, Marc's very active in the kids stuff, but I kind of manage all that, and it's good to kind of just sit down sometimes and like essentially have like a business meeting and just a plan, like, you know, okay, what do we do in the next 3 months? What's our goals? What's our goal for the whole year? You know, and stay focused on those goals together, because ultimately when you're a team, your goal is, you know, a husband and a wife and a family is to make the best that you can out of your life. I mean, no one wants to be unhappy. No one wants to have problems. No one wants, you know, I don't know. So
yeah, it's one of those where even the best teams in the world, you know, you look at one of the best championship basketball teams, look at Shaq and Kobe. You know, they were able to win championships, but they still had some relationship problems, obviously. And I think that that as you progress, the reason for this is just to kind of document things. I think that I don't see anything like this. You see these bloggers, they go out, do cool stuff. It's like, hey, look at my Lambo, look at this, look at that. And you don't ever see the inside of a life, because it's hard to do. It's hard to be transparent, because like I said, the reason we couldn't do this before is because we needed to get our house in order. You know what I mean? Like we had problems, you know, and a lot of couples do. But a lot of times it either doesn't work or you're unhappy. So what we want to show you is that, you know, you can work through things. And there's another factor. Like, I'm the first one here to say, if you don't have kids, like before we had Cammie, our relationship was like a honeymoon every day. It was really good. And then you throw kids in the mix. So what we also want to get across is, you know, do we stay together for our kids? Well, you'd like to think that, you know, no, we're together because we want to be together, and that should be the ultimate goal. But if you have kids and your relationship isn't sound, kids will not make your relationship
not that
better.
We're complaining that we have kids, but it definitely complicates things. I mean, the amount of responsibility and the constant need of things is wearing. And I mean, as a mom, I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time. I mean, I still consider myself a stay-at-home mom. I work at home for our companies, and there's huge flexibility in that. There's no way I could work outside the home, I think, right now with Marc's schedule. But that wears on you, that you lose your sense of self. I mean, you don't even know who you are anymore. I can't tell you how many years, like, I could go days without communicating with other adults, and that changes you. I mean, you forget who you are. And moms in general, I mean, especially if you're I'm going to say a good mom, but this might not make sense. I mean, moms put their kids first at the cost of themselves a lot of times. And I've been very aware of that probably since having Thomas, kid number 2, that it's important to take care of yourself. It's okay to take care of yourself. There's a lot of guilt for moms when they do things for themselves. And you have to move past that, because if you are not a healthy person as a mom, your life for your children is not going to be healthy. So that's another huge part of the relationship with kids is, you know, being a mom. And
likewise, there are situations like my parents and probably your parents where I think that sometimes you just need to throw in the towel, and sometimes people stay a little too long. If you're in a situation where it's unhealthy for the kids, you know, and you have tried counseling and this and that, you know, sometimes you do need to throw in the towel. But, you know, you should always, especially with kids, I think you need to exhaust all possibilities of ramification before you give up. Because, I mean, I'm just speaking on statistics. Now, again, I know a lot of great single parents who have very healthy, adjusted kids. You know, but statistically speaking, if you can have a healthy couple in a relationship raising a child together, it's a better situation statistically.
Sure.
And I mean, also I'm close to, like, for example, like, the boys love me great, but like, can you imagine if I, like, with Cammie, if we weren't able to fix things? Cammie would have been a fucking disaster.
Yeah, I mean, you look at all your relationships and you set new goals, and you know, like I said.
But I mean, the thing is, we're about to roll up right now. you know, and we'll chime in on what's going on here, but you know, the goal today is obviously just to go over what's been going on. It's been a little longer than usual since we've been there because the Arnold and being gone that week, and you know, I think that, you know, things happen when you try, whether it's good or bad, that, you know, maybe you need to discuss something that went down because we're in different environments. There could be some tangibles or variables involved that could have caused some emotions or feelings, and that's sometimes you could talk about shit like that, you know? So I think, but the main thing is just realize that, I say this, I've done so many videos on this, like, don't think you're different because you're struggling. You know what I mean? Don't think you're different because you have real issues. Social media has made it seem like everybody's in this fantasy world. Everybody has perfect teeth and no wrinkles. And that's just not life. You know, that's just not reality. That's just not how it is. And, you know, once you get past that and realize that you're emulating basically the equivalent of a cartoon. You're emulating a made-up fictional character these people have caricatured themselves into.
Right.
And that's not us.
Well, and yeah, I think we even had people come up and say that. Like, you know, I was stopped and waiting for you in the bathroom, and like people come up and start talking to me, and they're like, oh, you're Marc's wife, Katie. And they have this expectation of you being like an asshole because you're someone in this little industry. And, you know, that I think humbles people to know that we're real people too. Like, we're real people. They can come up and talk to us. They can have a conversation with us. And, you know, that was cool for me to get out and see, because I don't get out much and get to interact with consumers or even our team from Tiger Fitness and MTS and all that. So that was really awesome because I got to see firsthand like how much of a difference Marc makes, we make, and our company makes in this industry, affecting all different kinds of people, from teenage boys to, like, you know, adults in their 50s that you know, just need a little extra guidance, support. And if one thing we say helps them, then it's worth it. I mean, it's nice to see the good when there's a lot of bad that comes at you when you put yourself out in the social media world.
I think I'm also, I mean, you know, as an entrepreneur, you kind of, like, I always tell people, like, if I could do it all over again, I probably wouldn't have started my own business. Katie can attest to the fact that when I was working in corporate America, I was making stupid money because I was really good at what I did. I was great at publishing. I owned that world. That was my world. And starting my own business was, everybody thinks you work for yourself, but you don't. Every day I wake up and I have 400 consumer emails just I got overnight to answer, and I answer every single one of them. So you tend to get bitter at the people who are made you successful in the first place, because you're like, wait a second, you know, because of these guys, I missed my first two kids' first steps. But that was a choice I made when I started a business, and I wanted to be something different and special. But at the same time, you need to take care of your shit at home. Because, you know what, a real man, I believe a real man has a couple responsibilities. The main responsibility of a real man, and forgive me if this is sexist, and if this makes me sexist, so be it, a man's friggin' job in this world is to provide for his family. But what you also have to realize is that unless your relationship with your significant other is intact, you can't provide, because providing is more than financial. Providing is emotional, spiritual, and that's what providing is all about. It took me years to realize that.
Yeah.
Because I see, my parents were like that. My mom was military, dude. My mom was as independent. My mom burned bras in the 60s when she moved to this country. Talk about a feminist. And I came to the fact through education and everything that the breakdown of society is because men aren't taking responsibility for their shit. And so I came to my own conclusion that if I ever have a family, they will never need for anything. I will make sure of that. And guess what? In the quest for them never needing for anything, the one thing they needed, which is me, was not there.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to kind of sum it all up, that when we talk about counseling and leaning on others for support, is that counseling has brought Marc and I to a whole new level of communication where we can talk about anything and not really judge each other on our feelings or what we're thinking. It's just, we realize we're on the same page, we have the same goals, and we're going to get there together.
And before we close off this segment, because I probably have a couple more things to film on this vlog,
yeah,
at the end of the day,
I just meant this.
You're going to see us interact with each other, and you might think that we're mad or we're joking or we're out of line, but we've been together for 20 years, and that's the dynamic that works for us.
People
so
judge
like,
that a lot.
Oh, how dare you say that to your wife? I'm like, you should have heard what she said to me 5 minutes ago. So I think that every relationship has its own, its own intricacies and its own quirks and its own
way of working.
Its own way of working. So I mean, you know, I think that before you judge our relationship, realize it's our relationship, and this is what we did to make it work. And it's not just us. We actually have professional help. This is the best we can do with a consultant. So anyway, guys, time to go.
See ya.
So we're back. There's a little ruckus. Look at little ruckus. Cammy taught him to beg. So anyway, the thing about therapy is, you know what? It's kind of the opposite of choice theory. Choice theory is, you know, you kind of move on. You don't talk about shit. Whereas theory, like relationship therapy is all about, you know, thinking about things like almost dwelling on topics. So for me, as someone who's read and subscribes to choice theory, it's almost weird, but you know, it did its thing. So, you know, what we're getting at is that, you know, basically it's just a part of maintaining healthy relationships. And, you know, that's a lot of people just, you know, you have kids and you move forward. And I think that's where a lot of things fail. So we're there. But anyway, that's the vlog for today. See y'all tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at my email this morning. I get a mass email from one of the other sites that sell supplements that you're just a number to, right? They were bragging that one supplement line was free shipping. Bro, if you order over $99 in product in the continental US, any day of the week, free shipping. Anywhere in the US, at continental USA. Free shipping on orders over $99 at tigerfitness.com. Why even look at the other guys? And also, we ship from Vegas and Ohio. Most places in the US are a 1 to 2 day ship. And that's not a game.